Instagram Live. Yes, I'm tired. That's why I look like this. This is your Monday afternoon, evening. Who knows what time it is? Who knows what time it is? It's about to be dark in about hour and 15 minutes, but it's only going to be like 4:30 and my body's ready for sleep. So, what am I supposed to do? And just FYI, at any moment, a gaggle of children might appear at my door and hating on my video. Thanks, you all, for tuning in. There is so much astrology happening, and I really have to find the words to talk about it. But being the Mercury in Capricorn and Sun in Capricorn that I am, I'm a methodical person. Hello, sickly E24. It does feel like 8 p.m. reread. Being the methodical, straightforward, direct kind of person that I am, hey, nasty Nikki. We're going to pull up my young calendar. This is the 2019 Karatilwe Tilwe. I don't know if that's like an actual name. Pulling up my handy dandy 2019 sidereal moon transits and 2019 sidereal planetary transits. These are my iCals. You can download them all in my store, but literally I make them because I use them. I've been using them since before I made them. Since I've been using them since before I offered them in my store. Okay, what is happening this week? Okay, let's see. The moon is in Cancer. Already set off those squares with Mars and Libra. It's right, Sun not even in Libra anymore. Should have already set off squares with Mercury and Libra. So we could just forget about all of that because it happened already. Let's do moon is in Capricorn. Oh, Lord. Brain, do you know words? Do you know astrology, brain? Moon is in Leo, and that's some fire. Wednesday, November 20th. Y'all, it's November 20th already. Mercury stations direct in Libra. The following day, Venus enters Sagittarius. The same day, the moon enters Virgo. So if y'all want a taste of some mutable madness, on Thursday the 24th, you've got it. And then Sunday the 24th, right, I don't even know what happened to the rest of November. Have no recollection of it, literally. Like, I don't know. Sunday the 24th, Venus conjoins Jupiter in Sagittarius. How do I want to talk about this? Let's talk about Mercury first. Mercury stationed retrograde on October 23rd. October 31st. My brain is making up a lot of words. Y'all just forgive me. These are period hormones, and my brain just isn't at full function. Mercury stationed retrograde at 3 degrees Scorpio on October 31st, conjunct Venus in Scorpio. That set off the Mercury retrograde story from the fall of 2018. October 30th, 2018, Mercury crossed over into its retrograde shadow at 3 degrees Scorpio, conjoined Jupiter. One of the more difficult, I told you, here come children. I'm live. One of the more difficult, my kitty patootie says hi. Oh, okay, go ahead. There you go. One of the more difficult, triggering, upsetting aspects of the Scorpio transits has been the violence against women, the guns and shootings, the attack on the bodily autonomy of women. So if you recall January of this year, right, that's the other side of this Mercury retrograde. So let me do this in order. Mercury station retrograde October 31st, triggering the Mercury retrograde from 2018, October, November. Then Mercury is now at 17 degrees of Libra, which is triggering the Venus retrograde of October, November 2018. Those two stories are really this justice for and by women, as well as this whole conversation of the bodily autonomy of women. This is abortion rights. This is access to birth control. This is freedom from the tyranny of men and their violence. Hello, Chunky Warlock. This is the ability to dress, walk, talk, and be without threat of violence, without threat of death, without threat of kidnapping and imprisonment, without threat of rape. This is what women's bodily autonomy looks like. This has been one of those kind of low-level hums that we've been dealing with over the past several years because the sign Scorpio has been occupied almost in an unbroken stream of transits. So while this Mercury retrograde has set off stories from the fall of 2018, as well as the entirety of the Jupiter and Scorpio transit, it's also laying down, along with the other Scorpio transits right now, it's also laying down a reference point, framework, and a series of topics that we will be addressing and experiencing during the eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio that begin in June of 2020 and last through 2022. Scorpio is the sign of climate change. It's the sign of women's bodily autonomy, anybody's bodily autonomy, really, emotional autonomy. And this all has to do with the survival instinct. This all has to do with how we kind of adapt to our personal relational environment and the world around us in order to survive, be safe, to get our needs met. And so there's a way that we have adapted in our familial environments. And these are more kind of direct reference point for our persona and things that we might define as our personality traits. But there is also a collective container, a culture that our immediate relational environment resides inside of. And that's really what Jupiter and Saturn articulate. They articulate this larger container that serves as a reference point for the personal things that we experience. This is why during Jupiter and Scorpio's transit from October 2018 until November 2019, climate change has really become a topic that is increasingly at the forefront of our collective conscience. And it's already been the central point of what is the fate of humanity. It's not Earth. Climate change is not about Earth. Earth is adapting in order to continue to do what it does. Earth is changing because of us. Earth is going to be fine. Barring a rock coming out of nowhere and shattering Earth into, a gazillion pieces, Earth is going to be fine. It's really us who have the problem. And this is what Jupiter and Scorpio has been about. It is what Scorpio has been about. And I just want you to pay close attention over the next few weeks, now that Sun is in Scorpio, and really pay attention to this topic of emotional autonomy, bodily autonomy, self-preservation, abortion rights, access to birth control, the Black maternity death rate, all of these things, right? The entitlement to life embodied. This is really such a huge topic for 2020. The other part of that that's connected to this Mercury retrograde, as well as the planet still kind of parading through Scorpio, is this idea of taboo. This is a thing I've wanted to talk about for a while as we get so close to 2020 and some of the major astrological themes that we're dealing with. But taboo has to do with what is socially acceptable, what behaviors, right? So this whole Scorpio Taurus axis is about this idea of biological adaptation and kind of external adaptation to the relational and material environment that we find ourselves in. So we're all given these designations explicitly, and we internalize implicit messages about our identity, and we understand or come to understand, again, either explicitly or implicitly, what types of behaviors are acceptable for us given those designations. So as a 35-year-old Black woman in Chicago, right, in 2019, what kind of life am I expected to live? What are the expectations for how I should look? I'm very thin, right? Some of the expectations around being Black, being a Black woman, is that, you know, big booty, big titties, thick, that whole thing. This is not a judgment of right or wrong. This is not about morality. This is just about the aesthetic consensus. If I'm a Black woman, 35 years old in 1920 or 1902, right, in the Deep South or in Chicago, there's a whole set of expectations around how I'm supposed to interact, who I'm supposed to marry, when I'm supposed to have kids, how many kids I'm supposed to have, where I'm supposed to work, where I should live, how should I interact with white people, how should I interact with my children, how should I interact with my husband, right? What religion should I practice? All of these rules and expectations around gender, around sexuality, around all of the social constructs that humans live inside of, the relational constructs, family, marriage, career, how we interface with power. There's all of these rules. This is different from Libra because the Libra rules are enshrined into law, right? There's a real ideological consensus around what actions or behaviors and how to deal with conflicting wills and protocol around that. That's Libra and Aries. Taurus and Scorpio is like, I learned a long time ago that as a woman, it is not okay for me to do this because if I do this, then this is the consequence, right? Nobody wrote this down as law, but you just learned that if you want to survive, if you want to get your needs met, then this is the appropriate way as a woman you're supposed to behave. These are the things that we are going to be dealing with and talking about with eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus. And this moment that we're in right now is so important to that. We're going to be having a new moon in Scorpio and a full moon in Taurus over the next 2 to 4 weeks. And these are so important to 2020 eclipses. This Mercury retrograde has served as a bridge between 2018 across 2019 to 2020. So that's that on that. You'll hear me talking more about eclipses if time and the universe and people decide to cooperate with me and my goals to serve you. Then I hope to have an eclipse guide for the Scorpio Taurus eclipses for you by next spring. I can't make any promises because life just be lifing, and I'm doing the best I can in this fucked up capitalist bullshit that we all live in. Next, we have Venus finally leaving the sign of her fall, which is Scorpio, and moving into Sagittarius. And I just really hope that that changes things in a positive way. For some of us, I think that it will, but part of the challenge of Venus going into Sagittarius is that Jupiter and Saturn are there. And so whatever Venus is really trying to do in Scorpio, I mean in Sagittarius, like Jupiter and Saturn are there. And so she's just got to get on with whatever agenda that they have, which is this whole thing of critical mass. Venus is going to kind of speed past Jupiter by conjunction on the 24th. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and I never, ever, 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 ever want you to forget that fire can warm you and destroy you. Let's say that again. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and I never, ever, ever want you to forget that fire can warm you, but it can also destroy you. This is the whole point of critical mass. I've been trying to wrap my mind around all of these fires, and I've been thinking about the month of the pig and how it's the yin wood pig and how wood is just so strong, and how people whose charts don't like fire or wood are super duper struggling right now because look at the fire, right? Jupiter is already in Sagittarius, and Venus is going to join on Thursday the 21st. And Jupiter's at home. Jupiter is the boss of everybody and everything right now. So I just want to take this moment to just talk a little bit about Jupiter, because I think you all don't really understand. It's not that I think you all are stupid. I just know that I have spent so much time observing and not reading what people write on the internet or what they say on Twitter, but actually observing and looking at charts and seeing what Jupiter is really like. And Jupiter absolutely can best bless you. The best blessings of Jupiter are in the form of community. It is in the form of meaningful mystical experiences, and it is in the form of mentorship and teachers and guides who resonate with you to help you refine your core values, to give you a sense of meaning and purpose, to provide a sense of belonging beyond your biological circle of family, often in place of. Jupiter at its best is a counselor, a wise teacher, a preacher who brings the message for you when you need it, as if they know your life personally. Jupiter at its best is that aha moment that makes it all make sense. It's the context and reference point for who, what, when, where, and why. It's a huge part of our identities, right? If the moon is our body, our biology, our biological lineage that we connect through mother first, and then including father, if the moon is our personal constitution physically, the sense of belonging or identity that comes through that personal people connection, your eyes and your temperament and the people who have shaped you through your experience of meeting needs or withholding, then Jupiter is the container that all lives in. We think about the pressures that our mother and our father had, and the society and culture and the zeitgeist that they lived in, and how that informed their parenting, that informed the schools we went to, the religion we practiced or did not practice, the political climate that they lived in, that we too lived in by proxy. This is Jupiter. Jupiter is this larger container that's informing things. But the other part of Jupiter is that Jupiter is more like a vacuum than it is a magnifying glass, right? Jupiter is more like a vacuum in that the context it offers kinds of sucks everything up in it. It's kind of like Jupiter cast a hue over what we're perceiving and shapes our understanding of it. So that's why when Jupiter was in Scorpio, we were triggered because we did not know that we were this way because we had to be this way. We did not know that we did not choose this identity. We did not choose this expression of personality, that this expression of personality, this habitual emotional responses that we have in relationships and towards life, we didn't choose that. It is the adaptation that we took on in order to get our needs met. This quote, Carl Jung, every symptom psychological is a failed attempt at a cure, right? Every adaptation, every emotional and psychological adaptation that we have is a failed attempt at us trying to get our needs met. And I wouldn't even say it's failed. It's just we did the best we could with what we had, right? So during Jupiter and Scorpio, this was what we come to realize, that the impact of the survival instinct is like this shadowy figure, this background hum, this instinctual drive that possesses us and shapes us. And it lives in our nervous system. It's not an idea. It lives in our body. This was the reference point for the past year. How did you come into the realizations of why you are the way that you are? What experiences have you come to understand as being so pivotal and critical in shaping the way you even experience your own body? Right? That was Jupiter and Scorpio, but Jupiter is not in Scorpio anymore. Jupiter is in Sagittarius now. And Jupiter being in Sagittarius is fire. So that receptive sense of adapting is no longer the reference point and context for how we are understanding the world around us. Now it is identity, it is belief system, it is identity as a belief system. This is so important. This is so important for you to understand. I want you to take this home with you today, what I'm about to explain to you about Jupiter. Jupiter is part of your identity. So when you look at Jupiter in your birth chart, this is articulating something about your identity. Identity is a story, a thread of experiences that lead to who we are and how we perceive the world in the present moment. I'm going to say that again. Identity is a thread of experiences, memory, that chart a path to the present moment of who we are and how we understand the world around us. Jupiter is the container and reference point for identity. Jupiter in your birth chart tells you what was the climate and the context of the moment you were born into. And how did the climate and context of the moment that you were born into shape your understanding of the world and who you are, right? If you were born in 1980s with Jupiter in Scorpio, right? This would have been 1983. You would have been born as the AIDS epidemic was skyrocketing. People were just dying, and no one really understood why. People were afraid. And it wasn't just queer folks. It was kids getting blood transfusions, kicked out of their schools, right? This fear. That's what you were born into, right? So now, Jupiter being in Sagittarius, religion, clergy, myths, stories, meaning, morality, ethics, value systems, right? All of those things are a part of our identity, right? Identity is a myth. It is a story that serves as a guide for your sense of self, right? How do you behave when you find yourself, or how do you respond or react when you find yourself behaving in a way that deviates from the story you believe about who you are? Right? You hear it. We have it in phrase, man, they had me acting all out of character. What character? Had me all beside myself. What self? Right? I just don't feel like myself. What self? Right? That self that you're beside or acting outside of or not feeling like is a myth. And myths are extremely valuable and necessary. Myths are containers for things that we struggle to interface with personally and deal with, right? Both myths and fairy tales. These things are so important, right? We need myth, we need the mystical, we need the religious experiences and containers. We need these larger containers to hold us. The personal cannot contain everything, right? And so these are some of the more positive sides, more constructive ways to understand Jupiter and Sagittarius that provide us a sense of agency, that our actions matter. But the crux of how we experience this in the collective is that Jupiter and Sagittarius is, I deserve to live in a world that reflects who I believe I am, that reflects my identity, that reflects my ethics, my moralities, my belief. And so what happens is that when everybody is like, I deserve to live in a world that embodies my beliefs, now we have some conflict because not everybody's beliefs are the same, right? That's why the Gemini side is so important, because it offers us a drive of curiosity to learn and know and experience those things that don't necessarily align with who we think we are. The curiosity of Gemini says that it doesn't have to be just like me for me to be curious or interested. It doesn't have to align with my belief about the way that things are in order for me to be curious and interested about it. And so this is a great way for us to approach so much right now with this curiosity. We still have 4 more eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius, which should give you even more pause to understand why this particular moment is so important as far as 2020 is concerned. We're bridging this gap between Scorpio and Sagittarius, as well as Taurus and Gemini, and the eclipses that are coming in 2020. So it's so important that in this moment, while we still have stuff in Scorpio with this Sagittarius thing going on, it's so important that we become curious about our beliefs, that we become curious about ourselves and our identity, and that we don't take at face value our reactions and our responses, our desires, and even our own intentions, that we become curious and investigate the stories that we tell about who we are and the way that the world works. And I know I'm speaking to a very specific group of people who are interested in astrology, and it's so narrow and it's so small, but I just have to say what I say, even if it's only 12 people listening to me, because I'm just doing my job and my duty that I feel that I'm supposed to be doing. So Venus is joining in on this Jupiter and Sagittarius party on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, one of these days, I don't know. Thursday, Venus joins Sagittarius. Sunday, Venus conjoins Jupiter. This is starting a new story. The last time Venus and Jupiter conjoined was earlier this year, and there was this period where Venus was in Scorpio but had not yet conjoined, so it was all applying. And this whole thing of surviving R. Kelly came out, and the consequence of that was really huge. So we're on this other moment. This time it's in Sagittarius, and this is about religion. This is about clergy. This is about belief. This is about the containers that reflect and reinforce our identities, but it also represents the changes that our convictions make on the communities that we're involved in. And this is so important about Sagittarius. This is not a passive sign. This is not you need more information. This is not you need more time. This is not maybe I need to make a few more calculations. Maybe I just need to do a little bit more research and have a couple more conversations. Maybe I just know. Like fire is just not interested in any of that. Like fire is just like consuming. Fire it has a force of its own, and it's contagious. Fire is contagious, and it catches anything that, you know, anything. It changes everything. This is what fire does. If you go outside in the sun is literally in the process of turning everything into itself. Like that's literally what the sun does. Oh, you think your molecules gonna move slow and you just gonna lay there still and hard? Nope. Here comes some fire. Let me get your molecules all jumping and dancing around. Oh, now we got heat. Now we got energy. Now we got movement. Oh, this is thermodynamics, people. This is what fire does. So metaphysically, spiritually, psychologically, fire is the force that, you light a fire up under your ass. You know that saying? That's what this Sagittarius is all about. Lighting fire up under your booty. You're like, woo! Makes you get up off that thing and dance to you feel better. Get up off of that thing and try to relieve some pressure. Anyways, that's it. The one thing I have to say about Mercury stationing direct is that the hard part is over. And so, glory be. I'm going to go now. I think I've been on here for a good amount of time. Thanks for listening and tuning in. I'm going to put this on YouTube, so if you're tuning in late and you can't watch it within the next 24 hours, check it on YouTube. Do I have any announcements for you all? If I owe you a pre-recorded tarot reading, I'm so grateful for your patience and your flexibility and your understanding. I'm so grateful for you understanding that I am a single mother, that I drive 2 hours in my car every single day just to get my kid to and from school while taking calls and writing the 2020 Sidereal Astrology Guide and tweeting and making sure that you guys know what's happening and posting and parenting and cooking meals and doing laundry. And maybe I sleep somewhere in there. Maybe I might wash my hair if I have time. Maybe I'll go get my nails done if I have time. I appreciate you guys understanding that it's really hard to do what I do. It is very, very, very hard. But my conviction to continue offering my gifts and service to y'all is really the only thing that keeps me going, because it's struggle life right now, especially. So thank you for your patience. I have calls tomorrow along with regular parenting. So unfortunately, I don't think that I will have time to do them tomorrow. But again, if I owe you a pre-recorded tarot reading, Wednesday and Thursday, I promise I got you. Friday too. It's only a few of y'all, so I'm going to get it out. And if you would like to partake in one of my pre-recorded readings, I will probably be making those available at the beginning of December. One more announcement that I have to make is that December 21st, 2019, I'm going to be doing a talk on the astrology of 2020. That will be a ticketed event that is virtual. You want to have your own chart for that event so that you can follow along. And that's that on that. I'm still working on the 2020 Sidereal Astrology Guide, but like I said, life is rough. And I'm just trying to make the most with the little time that I have to do all of the things that I have to do. And I'm just so grateful that you guys even care to listen to me. Because I'm not anybody special. Just sitting in my bed, going off at the mouth. All right, you guys enjoy your Monday. If you love somebody, tell them. Give them a hug. Call them up. If somebody hurt you, tell them. Call them up. Or block them and cut them off. Do that too. Don't even tell them if they hurt you that bad. Just like block, 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 delete, 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 and throw away their number. You could do that too. But yeah, time is an illusion. Capitalism has us thinking that it's really just time. And it's not time, it's oppression. It's political and economic oppression. Our time is only pressed because we're forced to give most of it over for slave wage labor without health insurance and affordable living or clean water. Anyways, I'm going to stop being so drab and down. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much. Bye.